Starting the year in 1977, it appeared Victor Charles didn't have any one-man shows of prose and poetry booked at any universities and ladies' clubs throughout America. The cause of this might have been difficulties in booking performances, or because he was totally exhausted by all of the traveling that he had done before. For whatever the reason is, I wasn't able to find any evidence or explanation saying otherwise. On March 18, 1977, Victor Charles was performing in the stage production The Man Who Came to Dinner at the Country Dinner Theater in Florida. He had a few thoughts about the play he was in that was written by George Kaufman and Moss Hart, who structured their comedy after their dear friend Alexander Woolcott, who was a professional Broadway critic. This is what Victor Charles said. Look at the sky. Imagine taking directions from somebody who comes in wearing Clarence the Clown on his t-shirt. Woolcott howled with delight since it's been done by every high school in the world. Victor Charles performed in the television program The Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew Mysteries, and the episode A Haunting We Will Go on March 31st, 1977. Victor Charles was performing in the television program Man from Atlantis, and he commented, "One of the things I like about Man from Atlantis is that there are no guns, no knives, and no gratuitous violence. There is some rough stuff, of course, but not with recognizable weapons. I am not anti-gun, but I am anti-handgun. A rifle was invented for shooting long distances in order to acquire food. A handgun was devised to kill human beings at short range. I recently came across a photograph of myself at 8, and I was heavy even then. It never bothered me, though when I got up to 350 pounds a while back, I felt fat for the first time." Victor Charles was one of the principal actors in the television program Man from Atlantis, and these are the 5 episodes in 1977 with him playing in the role of Mr. Schubert. Meltdown on September 22nd, 1977. The Mud Room on October 13, 1977. Hank of Moo on October 18, 1977, Man of War on November 1st, 1977, and The Crystal Water Sudden Death on November 22nd, 1977. It wasn't very often that my Uncle Victor Charles had a principal role in a television program series. He had the Batman series playing King Tut in the mid-1960s, and in the late 1970s it was Man from Atlantis. Both King Tut and Mr. Schubert were mentally distorted villains, but he gave those 2 roles the old Buono genius of throwing his pursing wit and chuckling amusement. On December 22, 1977, Victor Charles was publicly announced in newspapers that he was going to play in the role of Jimmy Bryce in the stage production of The Last of the Marx Brothers Riders at the Solari Theater in Beverly Hills, California, and the date of its opening was scheduled for January 10, 1978. Victor Charles ended the year of 1977 by being one of the guests on Severson's The Sounds of Christmas Eve on December 24, 1977. This particular Christmas television event was with Sevenson, Henry Mancini, and Victor Charles, and was aired on every future December 24th throughout the decade of the 1970s. The clock was ticking, and my Uncle Victor Charles continued working in television, motion pictures, and on theater stages. At the beginning of 1978, my wife, our 3 children, and me were still living in Glendale, California, and I was working at the Pantages Theater in their tickets department on Hollywood Boulevard. I soon contacted Victor Charles about attending the Solari Theater to see him playing the role of Jimmy Bryce in the last of the Marx Brothers writers. When I arrived there and sat in the seats to the far right, I looked to my left and I saw comic actor Marty Feldman sitting in the middle of the theater that evening. On January 5th, 1978, Victor Charles was in an article written by Wayne Erreca, and Victor Charles had a few words to share, saying, "I'm staying at a friend's house in Hollywood. The place is lovely, all overgrown with morning glories and junkies. Every morning as I shaved, I looked out the window at the lovely trees. This morning they were all gone. It turns out I was looking at a tree rental lot for the studios. There is a sense of impertinence here, wouldn't you say?" He also said in regards to the nature of the play, "Kind of like a pie stuck in the heart. It's a very funny play about a very sad man. We planned to do it at the Oak Globe Theater 3 years ago, but I broke my shoulder. Then we started rehearsals and Groucho died. Good Lord," we all said, "is the public going to think this is the crassest kind of commercialism, if there is such a thing? It's a marvelous house and it was all built by actors. That means it'll probably fall down any day now. Hurry up and get your tickets. It needs a small theater and it is a very fine play. I think Louis Phillips is a major playwright. I'm the first to play Jimmy Bryce, and the large men everywhere are going to be eternally grateful. Each act starts off with a 10 or 15-minute monologue. The first few days in San Diego after I gotten off the book, I thought I'd died and gone to a Screenwriters Guild meeting. Very little sense took place. I'm devoting all the time necessary to take the show where it's going. We'll take it to San Francisco next and maybe even New York. Though it isn't necessary to go to New York anymore because the theater is in so many other places now." Later, in the early 1990s, I had the opportunity to have a conversation with director Craig Knoll about my Uncle Victor Charles while we stood outside talking at the Oak Globe Theater. He recalled how they hoped the last of the Marx Brothers writers would have made it all the way to New York, saying, "That's what Victor needed in order to be known at every kitchen table in America, but unfortunately it didn't go any further." I sense that legendary Craig Knoll at the moment still had a broken heart for both of them by not succeeding with that production. He also mentioned to me that he didn't believe Victor would live a long life, because he always did everything big by buying big cigars, eating big meals, and never stopping to rest his big stature. I was grateful that day when Craig Knoll was completely candid with me about how he saw Victor Charles's life. He was like a broken-hearted father looking back on his lost son, and I knew Craig Knoll loved Victor Charles very much.